shooting as a sport in Nigeria?
Shooting as a sport, when it started immediately after the American Civil War, and it has to do with the results and the productivity of the American soldier, which the government itself was not satisfied with, and they just decided that why can't the shooters, the soldiers, why can't they be having practice in shooting while they are off duty? And that was all get back to target shooting, and the government set up a range precisely in Long Island, in New York, and that was the birth of shooting, precisely in the war. And shooting started in Nigeria in 1976, and since 1976, shooting has been a wonderful discipline, that in sport that has helped mainly the armed forces of this country. Some of the best shooters you find in the military and in the armed forces today, they are actually members of the Nigerian Shooting Federation.
This sport, is it predominantly a military sport, or it's a mix, military, civilian?
It started as a purely military affair, that is the truth. And because its evolution now got to the stage of it being a sport by when it came up in the first Olympic, as it came up, it became a sport, and naturally, as soon as it becomes a sport, it's invitational to both civilian and the military. So it's a mix, because it has to do with weapon. Definitely is unexpectedly rather. You know that the military has to take the upper hand. So when you want the population of the shooters, definitely they are the military. In fact, in the higher discipline, the higher caliber discipline rather, from .22, .32 to a big ball of 300 meters and 1,000 yards, where live rounds are being used, you find the military and the law enforcement agencies always performing better.
Let's look at control. We're talking in a situation where weapons, and you just mentioned live weapons are used. How do you get it controlled?
Yes, this is why we will say that in Nigeria we're having what I would call an underdevelopment, subtle underdevelopment in shooting, because the crime rates in this country and the threat of criminality is high, coupled with the recent insurgency. So in the development of shooting in Nigeria, and if you see the opening we've given to the public in shooting in Nigeria, the civilians listed on the road that are already there, they pass through our processes. You can't become a member of the Shooting Federation without you having gone to the police, character screening, you get a character form, we send, confirm if you are qualified or eligible enough for you to become a shooter. And what we do is we don't allow any civilian, at least in my administration that I'm heading now, we don't allow any civilian to just come in and you come and start handing live rounds ammunition or live rounds weapon. So you come in as a civilian, you start with the air weapon, which is the pellet, which is the basis of shooting. So the law of control, we're not many, we're limiting what we do as is naturally meant to be to the military and the law enforcement agency. When you have so many civilians that are retired military officers, where do you put them? A retired law enforcement agency, where do you put them? And they are interested, they've carried weapon all their life. Now they don't have access to weapon, they've got skills. Some of them can become instructor, some of them still want to continue shooting. I mean, I for one, as a firearm instructor, if there is no shooting development in Nigeria, no one will know that I'm capable of holding a weapon. So we still give them opportunity, but you have to be ready to go to the proper screening.
where can you compete as member of the Nigerian Shooting Federation?
It takes place in nearly all the sport events in the world. Apart from that, we also have the World Military Games. We also have the World Police Games, where the shooting takes place. And particularly in Africa, we have the All African Games. Like the one happening in Congo now, we're not going to be in Congo because Congo does not have the facility. They don't have one of these facilities you see in this range. So they don't have, so shooting can't go there. But definitely we were in Egypt last year for the African Shooting Championship, and which about 14 countries participated in that. And we came fourth, and it was Nigerian first set of Hall of Medals. We had 5 medals from that, from there. Shooting in Africa will always participate in the African shooting competition and the All African Games. And nationally, we have the Inter-Service Games shooting event. We have the National Shooting event. We also have shooting event that are named after people that we've enlisted into our Hall of Fame, people who have done all their best in shooting. People like General Mobolaji Johnson is one huge supporter of shooting in Nigeria. Right? It will be unfair not to mention people like that. You have people like General Ayovon, who used to be a very wonderful supporter of shooting, and still is. We have the DGSSS. DGDSS, he's a very wonderful supporter of shooting. In fact, in the last championship we had in Cairo, we had about 4 or 5 of his shooters that are member of the team. So nationally, we reduce and limit what we do while we're doing something to be productive.
Besides your recognition, what are your immediate challenges?
Immediate challenges, you can see, if you take a look at your back where you're sitting now, we've got a huge expanse of land here. The discipline we have in Nigeria presently is the 10 meter you've seen in the other range, the 25 meter, and the 50 meter. But those disciplines you see, they're just like a pint of the salt, because the event, the discipline rather, in shooting is about 15. And those land you see there, it belongs to shooting. We don't have a 300 meter range. We don't have a 1,000 yards range. We don't have a shotgun range. A shotgun range is a normal weapon. We are weapon like the pump action. Is a 12mm cartridge is used. And the clay event, we're not into that. Those ranges need to be constructed. The range where you are now, we've got into this level by the grace of God. This was an abandoned facility. This needs to be up to date. We don't have modern scoring systems, and most especially, which we know, funding has been the bane of this federation. I can tell you, just like every other government agency and department, it's been crazy. It's been very, very tough.
Besides the challenges, Mr. President, would you say the future is bright?
Yes, I would say this. Precisely, I would want you to know that the armed forces, they've been very, very wonderful when it comes to accepting to recognize shooters that are deserved. After Mr. President, ex-President, President Goodluck, after he hosted our shooters and gave them award, we made sure that the agencies also honor the shooters, and they so much comply, and they did that. But when it comes to the infrastructural development and support, I would say it's support to the Federation because it's already support to shooting. The greatest support we've had has come from the Department of State Security. under the leadership of Mr. Ita Ekpeyon, CFR. When the shooters came back from Egypt, and they understood that our greatest problem was weapons in Egypt, and Nigeria had to go borrowing to shoot in Egypt. And I let him understand that you need to let your shooting team be equipped. I said, okay, let's see how it goes. As long as it will help my shooters in their job. And I said, yes, our job is to train the people in marksmanship, but we don't shoot to kill, we shoot to win. That's the difference. So he bought the idea, and he made sure, as I speak to you, DSS is the most equipped agency in shooting in the whole of Nigeria. In fact, in the whole of Africa, they have the most modern weapon.
The Nigeria Olympic Committee